gather round, an adventure is always waiting. This storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel. And welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. And every Saturday morning, we are here with you. We want to share with you as many things as possible, opportunities, activities, so that you can know what's available for your students, for your children, for your young people. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education alongside my co-host.
DeAndre Daniel.
And DeAndre, I think that it has been a pretty exciting Easter break for most students, including you. And we'll talk a bit about what makes it or what made it so interesting for you and some of the activities that you participated in. But before we get to that point, I want to start at the top of the show by congratulating the students and the young people who were selected to be part of the 2019 Carifta team, the St. Kitts Nevis Carifta team. The persons who were selected from Nevis were Leroy Chapman, Alexander Keynes, Acadiento Willett, Kamarly Newton, and Khalil Roberts. And I just want to say congratulations to all of you. And for those of you who have not found the link yet, please make sure that you find the link for the Carifta game so that you can watch it via Facebook, via YouTube, and you can keep up so that you can find out what our students are doing as they participate in the Carifta Games. The Carifta Games is very important. If you've never heard about it, DeAndre, there are several countries within the region who the participants from various countries have the opportunity to compete in the Carifta Games, mostly track and field events. So you would see things like shot put, discus, javelin, and then of course the flat races and the hurdles. And so it's very exciting because many college scouts also view the Carifta Games to see who are the outstanding athletes, and sometimes they get college scholarships, sometimes full college scholarships out of the Carifta Games. So that's why it's important. It's important because it gives the students and the young people a chance to showcase their talents and to see how much they measure up to people throughout, their colleagues and peers throughout the region, and then opens up doors and possibilities for them to either compete at the higher level, for example, the Olympics, or for them to get college scholarships, which is always great because, getting relatively free tuition is everybody's dream. And so Carifta opens up those doors for persons who are athletes and who are athletically inclined. And they would have gone through a series of tryouts, and those students were able to journey to the Cayman Islands with the rest of the participants from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. There were a total of 15 participants, and once again, congratulations to those individuals from Nevis who were able to join the federal team and to compete in the 2019 edition of the Carifta Games. All right, so DeAndre, as we were saying, we had a very eventful Easter break. Are you ready for school to open?
Yes.
What? Okay, so I went to a camp on Thursday. DeAndre, you were there, and we'll talk more about it. And I asked, so how many of you are ready for school? And the majority were like, no. So I know that they're enjoying their camps so much, they're enjoying the break so much, but this upcoming term is very important. There will be several activities that the students have to keep abreast with so that they can be prepared for the next levels in their lives. And of course, this is the term for tests. The CXC, CSEC, and CAPE exams and CCSLC, the test of standards. This is the term for graduation. So there are many things, as I said, which will be happening during the course of this term, but we have to get over the vacation first in order to face the many opportunities that are ahead. All right, so DeAndre, what have you been doing for Easter?
Going to a camp. I forgot the camp's name.
Which
I think
camp?
it's Julia something 5-year Memorial Camp.
DeAndre, I'm going to call Mr. Roger and tell him that you don't know the name of the camp. So DeAndre attended and is attending the Jerry and Ursula Fifield Memorial Camp. And that camp is held in New River in Gingerland, all the way down, almost in the ocean. I mean, that's how far down. It's right by the bay. And I'm going to give you my perspective, but of course I'll allow DeAndre to give you his perspective first. But I want to commend the organizers who have diligently put this camp in place. And this year they have 95 persons registered. And it is a sleepover camp. It's not a come and visit and go home to your parents' camp. It's a sleepover camp. So DeAndre, was this the first time that you had a camp of that nature, that type?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had one. I've never been to a camp quite like that one. And so I was invited to stay, and I was like, okay, I don't know. I have to think about it, and probably next year it will take me a few weeks or months to wrap my mind around it. But what was unique? What was different about the camp from your perspective?
Same thing, staying there and sleeping.
And not just sleeping, but sleeping intense, because you did a camp recently. You had a camp at a school.
Yeah.
Yes, with your church youth group.
Yeah.
But this camp, they're sleeping in tents, outdoors. I still can't get over it. So tell us a bit about the experience.
Okay, so this is the first time I've been to one of those sleeping intense camp, because like when I usually go to camp and sleep, it's like usually in a building. Because I have been to more camps to be like sleeping camps, but I've been to those ones like in the buildings. I've never been to one in a tent, because like I'm like, why am I gonna go to a camp in a tent? Because like it's like, if you think about it, it's like I've never been in a camp, but I'm going to one in a tent. It's like,
Okay, so for those of you who are not getting the visual, they actually have the pop-up tents that can zip up, that
yeah,
you
not the
go
tent,
into, not the
tent,
tents
where
that you have
go
for
in the
events.
back. Yeah, like, tent, yeah.
So there are several pop-up tents at the bottom of the New River Estate near the bay. Many tents. And they have various competitions going on. So when you go into the tents, you actually feel like you're in a house.
Yeah.
And for many of the tents, it feels like you're in a house. And so there's one tent, because I got a tour. There's one tent that has the living room with the blow-up sofa,
Yeah.
and then each room
That's
has
the brown
each
one.
child, each child, and of course the parents have their own space, as though it's a regular bedroom at the house.
They have a
And
little mini table.
they have
in
mini
it.
table in the middle, and
They have a suitcase right there. Your
Yes.
shoes that you come inside.
It just-
and a carpet.
yes, they have carpets. So they're still in the outdoors, but they have taken it to a different level,
Yeah.
because they have really put some work into setting up the tents. Now, there are some I saw, DeAndre, where they built beds out of pallets, the pallets that you ship, that the supermarkets get their supplies on. They're wooden pallets. They form the fence at the outside as well. But they're wooden pallets, and they covered them with cardboard, and then they put the blow-up bed on it. But when you walk into the room, it looks like the bed is on top of a bed frame. So the
Yeah.
bed is high, and I thought that was admirable and commendable as well. And then I saw some where the rooms were decorated like bedrooms. So that if it's a girl's room, you would see the pink sheets and the sparkly pillows, and you wouldn't know that you're not in an actual house.
Yeah, because when I went down there and I saw some of them, like, where my tent is, it's like, when you're coming down the road, the first tent, that's the first tent you'll see. I'm telling you, as you come down the road, like, the tent goes like a squig, so it goes like this and it comes out and then it goes in. My tent is like the one at the corner,
Okay.
the corner the top left or right. Wait, no, left. Yeah, top left corner. So it's like there's a next tent beside of me, but that's a yellow tent. But the other tent now, I had a look in that tent. It's like it has 3 beds and it looked like a whole dressing table in that tent, because like there's a
Everything.
bed there and then there's another one there and then there's another one there. You look on that side you see a table with cream and perfume and like there's this big thing with snacks in it.
I'm wondering if they don't ever plan to move out.
I know, because
So if you're just tuning in, we are talking about the Jerry and Ursula Fifield Memorial Camp, which is held at New River, a little past the estate, closer to the bay. It's a long way down, but currently there are 95 registered campers, and they have been having a whale of a time, an exciting time, learning, playing, experiencing new activities. I was there on Thursday night, and they had already met with persons from the Department of Agriculture and learned how to propagate plants, and they met with NHCS, the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, and I had a session with them about the human knot, and it takes a village to do many things. I'm trying to make it really short because they were not about that, listening to people's life. They were more about the activities and the fun, but we wanted to make sure that their experience was a holistic one. And I wanted, once again, I know it started off, DeAndre, I don't know if you know this, as a family activity. It's still a family activity, but it has expanded to include persons who live in the area and friends of the family and family by extension. But it started off as a family activity where Roger Fifield's mom and dad and their family members, they would go down to the area for one day during the Easter, during the daytime. And then over the years, as they continued to grow, I think he said go to attend. He said that a family member was here from overseas and recommended it. Said, "Hey, let's sleep over," and they were like, "Sleep over," but eventually it became a tradition, and now it has expanded to not just one day or one night, but it's expanded to a whole weekend. And I learned also that prior, it used to start on Thursdays and end on Mondays, and this year it started on Wednesday. And
so prior.
before this year it started on Thursdays, but this year it started on Wednesday, right? So they are really growing in leaps and bounds. DeAndre is talking about the tents and how beautiful they look. There will be a prize for best tent. There will be a prize for best camper. There will be several prizes, and I know that the Honorable Eric Evelyn would have also given a challenge to the students to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. And DeAndre was telling me before we came live, DeAndre, you're trying to get one of the prizes?
Mhm.
Which one?
The best tent.
Okay.
Best
What's the prize for best tent?
2. Wait. Dinner for 2 at Rivera.
It was lunch for
Lunch,
2 at
lunch,
Riviera House.
lunch,
Yes. Lunch for 2 at Riviera House. And so, as I said, 95 persons from babies straight up.
Yeah.
95 persons are registered, and so we want to applaud them for that. I saw persons like Sandra Hobson, Roger mentioned Cian Dorr, and her daughters were also there. The Camel sisters. We saw the Fifields, the entire Fifield family was there in full support. Mrs. Governor Hendrickson was there as part of the organizing committee. And as I said, I was in awe, and I had to applaud them for a job well done. So we just wanted to take a few moments out this morning to commend and highlight them. We told them, I think Roger was asking me if they should listen in. I don't know if they would get the chance because they have an activity plan for this morning, but we want to commend them nonetheless because we know that they are doing well and they're achieving great feats. Also, in terms of commendations, last week we had the students from CSS here, and they were promoting their Earth Day activities. And part of that, one of the activities which they have organized is an island-wide cleanup. And so they encouraged several people to join them. Unfortunately, I had another engagement this morning, so I didn't get to go, although I wanted to. But I'm hoping that many persons joined in to assist the students at the Charlestown Secondary School, the SEAS group. They're focused on environmental awareness, improving the environment, making sure that we have an earth, as St. Kitts and Nevis, to come home to in the next 50 years, and that we don't have to worry about all of this pollution and all of the other activities that would hurt the environment. DeAndre, I think that I'm looking forward to hearing from them and hearing about their reports. I know you didn't get to come on the radio last week because
And
the
the week
studio was just full for the last 2 weeks. But do you have anything you want to share in terms of what the students are doing in terms of cleaning up the island and making sure that we have a clean place to live? Any comments? Or any congratulations? You want to say congratulations to?
Yeah, I want to say congratulations to them because people wouldn't just get up and just say, "Oh, let me go running around the alley, and pick up garbage."
Yeah,
So,
to pick up garbage, yeah.
Yeah, I would just want to say like congratulations that they like said, "Okay, let's go. Let's make a little group and let's go and clean Nevis." So as Zanel said, in 50 years' time, we still have a Nevis to live on.
Okay, awesome. So, we are going to take a short break, and we are going to be right back.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. An hour passes quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's youth on the go. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. There's storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughn Radio. I am Zanella Claxton alongside my co-host
DeAndre Daniel.
DeAndre. Just before the break, we spoke a bit about what has been going on during the Easter. We talked about the Jerry and Ursula Fifield Memorial Camp, which is one of the bigger ones since it's a sleepover camp. But there were also other camps and activities happening this Easter break. And so I know that the Department of Youth hosted the Camp Rights, and they taught students some of their fundamental human rights. And so I know that it was a successful activity as well, and we want to commend them for that and for doing a great job. And so as we continue to grow and provide those pleasant and meaningful activities for our students, we want to encourage parents to enroll their children, get them involved, so that they can continue to grow and learn and do very well. So, DeAndre, on Tuesday, Tuesday is a very big day. Yes, it is. It's a big day for all students. Yes, it is. Okay, what's happening on Tuesday, DeAndre?
For me,
Okay, tell me what's happening for you.
sleep,
Tuesday?
sleep. Yeah,
DeAndre, you're not sleeping on Tuesday.
yeah.
Oh, you get a day off?
The whole week.
Oh, you got a whole week off.
My school opens the other
Oh, you were
Monday.
following week. Yes,
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yes. But for all of the other students in the
School opens
Federation,
on that week.
school opens on that day, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so after this very, very long weekend, I know that they are going to get involved in different activities, but they are expected to go out on Tuesday. And as we were saying earlier, it's a very packed term because for the students of the Federation, they have to look at their various exams. So we have our fourth, fifth, and sixth formers who are studying for the CXC exams, CAPE, CCSLC, and CSEC. And then we have our secondary school students who are doing, some of them are doing common entrance exams. And then we have our primary school students, some of whom are doing test of standards. And then we have other activities going on at the department. On the 16th of May, we have the spelling bee. We'll have at 9 a.m., we'll have the spelling bee for grades 3 and 4. And at 1 p.m., we'll have the spelling bee for the secondary schools. So that's on May 16th. And then on May 25th, we have Family Book Feud. I don't know how many of you remember, but every year we have Miss Brown and the team here, and they talk to us about Family Book Feud, and they let us know some of what's going on and the categories for the Family Book Feud. But this year, it is around the corner, and we want to encourage all of you to support your various schools. For those persons, I think most of the schools are already registered, but if there's a school that doesn't have any participants, I encourage the parents and the students to come on board and support the initiative so that we can have that full buy-in and that we can have our schools all represented and represented well through the Family Book Feud. Do you know what the Family Book Feud is?
No.
You just miss what? I think you live under a rock, DeAndre.
Patrick.
Yes. Family Book Feud is an activity which is hosted by the Department of Education school librarians, and it is a chance for parents to compete alongside their child to win based on some books and stories and poems and history, different categories.
So it's like Family Feud, but you're just going against your parents. And
No, you're going with your parents.
So you're just, it's like
So for example, your partner in the competition would have been your mom. Let's say, for example, and another child might have their dad as their partner in the competition. So you have to both study together. You have to read together, and then you get the activities, you get the assigned readings, and on the night of the competition, you have to answer the questions.
so it's like Family Feud.
It's like Family Feud, yes. Family Feud is a bit different in the sense that the questions are thrown out to the general public and you have to guess the most popular answers. In this case, you have to study the information that is given to you and you have to remember. So, for example, if they have stories, Aesop's fables as their stories, you would have to read the stories that they've given to you, and they might ask questions to see if you actually read them or if you remember the information that you read. And guess who has sometimes the greatest struggle in getting the answers right? The children or the parents?
The parents.
The parents. And so that's the best part of it, because sometimes you see the children looking at them like,
You know the answer you just told me last night. And how do you forget?
and sometimes it's funny because the parents often put a lot of pressure on their children to let's study, let's do this, and when they get into the situation where they
They're
have
like-
to answer, yes, they don't have the answer.
And they're like, Mommy, what was the answer?
Yeah, and the children in some of the rounds, the children can't help them. So that's something that you should check out, DeAndre. I think we're getting you exposed to the various things that are happening. You can't live under a rock, okay? And that goes to all of our students out there. Make sure that you are doing your best to get that full exposure. We haven't met since the cooking competition, have we? Nope. The cooking competition was held on Monday. Monday, was the 18th? Monday, we had the Ministry of Health
No.
and Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Ministry of Education. We hosted it was hosted by the Ministry of Health, and I want to commend Mrs. Nadine Carty-Canes and Mrs. Renelle Daniel and the entire team for working assiduously and to ensure that the students, first of all, went through the My Healthy Plate initiative, which they learned about healthy eating, foods that you should eat, foods that you should not eat, and how to properly balance out your meals. Make sure that you have certain portion sizes so you don't have, a whole plate of macaroni and no vegetables, or a whole plate of sausages but no vegetables and no carbs, no rice or something. So they taught the students how to portion out their meals during that competition, during that activity, which was held at the schools throughout the term 2. At the end of the term, the students were challenged to cook meals using some basic ingredients. So they were given the ingredients list, and then they were given the optional ingredients list. And so they all had to cook some form of pasta, whole wheat pasta with chicken breast. And you saw very different presentations, but they did very well. And so the Charlestown Primary School and St. James Primary School emerged joint winners for the first ever competition. They were followed by Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School, second place, and then in third place we had the Nevis Academy joined with the Ivor Walters Primary School, and so all of our students ended up doing very well. And I must tell you, when it was held at NEPAC Courtyard, and DeAndre, when you walked into the courtyard, you thought you were in if you were in one of those expensive, high-end restaurants. And so we want to say how proud we are of the students, their parents, their coaches, their chaperones, their teachers, for preparing them for this very important activity. And they did very well. And we want to continue to encourage them as we continue to partner with the Ministry of Health, continue to encourage all students to eat healthily, to make wise decisions in terms of what they're putting in their mouths, because the food has a great impact on your life.
So you said that the term is gonna be packed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what else is gonna be packed? You know what else is gonna be packed? No. The barbershops are gonna be packed.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it's back to school.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure they were packed today.
Yeah,
Because
today,
because Sunday's
and
a
then-
holiday. Sunday's usually a day in which most barbershops are closed, and then Monday will be a public holiday. So most parents would have gotten it in
Today or yesterday.
or yesterday, and so yesterday was a holiday. So Thursday or today, and we won't.
What holidays on Monday?
Monday is Easter Monday.
So that's where people go to the beach.
Most people go to the beach.
Oh, that's with Monday.
Most people go to the beach on Monday too, but on Easter Monday, most churches have picnics.
Oh yeah.
At the
Because
beach.
I was at the camp and then they're talking about going to the beach and what I'm like, they're talking about, and then I was like, if you're going to the beach, I'm going to the beach too.
Yeah, yes. So most churches go to the beach on Easter Monday, and we had, in terms of our activities and things which were happening, DeAndre, this weekend while you were at camp and all these other things were happening, we had some persons who headed to the flats because they went to fly their kites for the annual SJCIC kite flying competition, and so we saw some huge kites, some colorful kites, several kites, and the tradition of kite making seems to have taken a new life in Nevis. Do you have a kite? Not a bat kite, not a plastic store-bought bat kite, which nothing is wrong with having a bat kite, but culturally and traditionally, we always have.
It's a bat kite.
You know what a bat kite is? It's a plastic kite that you buy at the store.
Oh,
And you put
those.
the three bones in.
Oh.
Yes, those are what we call the bat kite. And then we have the traditional kites, which are made with the
Paper.
paper and the thin cut board and string, and some
I
people
saw-
stick it with clammy cherries, which I haven't seen clammy cherries in a long time.
What are commentaries? Is those a sticky thing?
Sticky,
Okay, yeah, I know
they're
that, I know
pink.
that, I know
They're
that.
pink or peachish
Yeah.
in
Or
circles.
sometimes they're green.
If they're green, they're not ready to stick.
Not green, but like they're greenish.
Okay.
Like greenish.
But you know what I
with
mean? They're
another
sticky.
color. Yeah.
And so in the old days, I know that people used to stick their kites with that. But now they've been sticking. Well, more recently, they stick them with regular glue. But historically, you didn't make your kites without clammy cherry.
Someone says if you don't know what that is, you didn't have a good childhood.
Clammy cherry?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it on Instagram this one day scrolling
Oh gosh!
down and they say,
You see where he's seeing
yeah, they said if you don't have these and you've never seen these, you know what these is in your childhood, you didn't have a good childhood. Because like back then, there's a tree where my father used to live, and then I used to pick them, and then my cousin, he used to throw them after me, so you used to throw them back each other, and then he said that they usually make glue with them,
Yeah. Yes, they're
Usually-
very sticky. They're very sticky.
and they're hard to get off when they get in your hair.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay, you've tried.
yeah.
Okay. but I don't know where most of the trees are. I haven't seen.
Yeah, the one of mine died, it died.
Yeah, I haven't seen them for a while. I wonder if it's linked to that comment last week where we were told that bees throughout the world are slowly becoming extinct, because I know bees
I
were
saw
very
one died
instrumental.
yesterday. Two died
Two?
yesterday, yeah.
The bees are instrumental were instrumental in the clammy cherry tree pollination process. And so I'm wondering if there's a connection. There might be. Maybe in order for us to find out, we should attend the lecture.
I thought you were just gonna say Google. I thought you were just gonna say
The lecture that the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society is hosting for Earth Day. I don't know how many of us remember, but Earth Day is scheduled, or the calendar date for Earth Day is April 23rd. And so in celebration of Earth Day, the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society is hosting a public lecture. And last week, when the group was here, they spoke about that as well. The theme is Protect Our Species, Threats to Biodiversity in Nevis, and the venue is the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall. We'll have consultant Kevin Lindsay. He will present so that we can be up to speed, up to date with the information, especially as it relates to our environment. So Earth Day, if you missed the activity this morning, you have an opportunity to attend the lecture. You also have an opportunity to come up with your own Earth Day project. Something that you can do to try to make a contribution towards the development of your country. I was also made aware of a French singing competition that's coming up shortly, and there's a concert on the final concert is on Saturday, 4th May at 5 p.m., and that's in St. Kitts at the Old Girls School. The concert fee is $25 for adults and $15 for students. And the winner, listen up, the winner of the competition will be able to get a trip to Guadeloupe or a trip to Martinique for 1 week.
So they pay your flight.
Yeah, they'll take care of all of your
and
expenses
they pay your hotel, and they pay your food
for 1 week.
and your taxi
Well, they might provide transportation
for 1 week.
for 1 week. For a French singing competition, though. So if you haven't been taking
Can't
French,
speak
it's a chance for you to learn, but that opportunity is coming up very, 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 very soon. Okay?
So could you cheat by, oh, like I'm from France, and then I hear a competition in St. Kitts, and then it's like, oh, no one knows that I'm a French person, and then I could go a free trip to Guadeloupe, Martinique, go to go to Guadeloupe. Can you do like that?
No, no.
It has to be like
Usually, if you are a native speaker, it's going to show up very easily by the way you
Your
speak.
accent,
Yes, and so they
If
will
you change
know.
your accent.
And because the competition is open for students, unless the person was a student who lived in a French-speaking country, and that is fine. If a student who lived in a French-speaking country competes, that is allowed, but the competition is open to all students.
Isn't St. Martin a French? Wait, is it a Dutch? And
One is a
French?
Dutch side, and yes, they have a French side.
So if I go over there and come to Nevis, I could be like, yeah, I sing and I win, and then I go to my, oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna call someone then.
All right. So, DeAndre, for the rest of the show, though, we want to take some time out to encourage the students, because we talked about Tuesday being a big day and the term being a packed term. And I don't think that we should ever allow any new terms to start without encouraging our students to focus and study and do well and complete their assignments and their projects. Right? So we're going to go through some tips for them, because it's going to be important that they study and focus this term, as with every term. But as we discuss, you can share any tips that you found to work better than maybe perhaps than what I talk about, or anything that has worked for you that we're talking about. So one of the tips, once again, and we went through this already early on in the beginning of the school year, was time management. As the term goes on, you get more and more busy, right? More and more assignments, more and more activities, and sometimes you sign up for different activities in the community. For some students, they sign up for cadets, they sign up for Girls Brigade and Boys Brigade, they sign up for girls brownies and girls guides, they sign up for steel pan and dance and drumming. They find themselves in many, many, many activities. So time management will be very important for all students during the next term. And for somebody like DeAndre, who commutes every day, goes back and forth on the ferry, it is very important for you to know how to manage your time. Yes? And so how have you been? I know in the first term you weren't doing so well. How has it been going for you in terms of time management to make sure that you get all of your activities done?
Good.
So what is it that you've done differently from when you started school in September to now? Have you done anything at all differently, or are you just doing everything the same?
Something differently, and then I'll jump into something different, and then jumping back to something doing the same, and then like that.
All right. So something like what? What have you changed? You said jump into something differently. And
It's like I have at home. It's like I got bored one day, so I was like, okay, let me print a question what I could do during the day to schoolwork. So I have that in the fridge, and then sometimes you'd say study math, but I don't want to study math or study English or science, and then it has this time limit from when to when. I don't do a 40-minute school, or I go for a full hour, because isn't 40 minutes you round that off to a full hour. So I just do a full hour, and then sometimes I said no, I'm not doing that full hour. Just do 30 or 40 minutes.
So you've created schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the next thing. As part of your time management, it is always good to plan. And part of planning is doing schedules. So who taught you how to do scheduling?
A long time ago, I was by my auntie, just sitting in the chair, and then she's like, okay, DeAndre, you're sitting, do nothing, so I'm going to give her this paper, stick it on your fridge or stick it somewhere, and you're going to study the schedule, and then every math on that paper, change it to something different because I hate math.
Oh
So
boy.
it changed, like, you would have like math first thing in the morning,
Yes.
change that to social studies. Math last thing in the night, change that to math, so something else.
But you know you can't change. You have to conquer. You
Yeah,
have
that
to
was when I was a little younger.
yes, approach with an
Now,
open mind.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get it right.
Hmm.
Because you say you can't read math, like you can't read it. You have to like study it. I think you study it. You can't read math.
I think I can read math.
I tried it one day. Like I'm like, how can't you read math? 2 times 4 or something like that. You can't. How can't you read it? You're reading it. I just say like 2 times 2 is 4. That's reading. They said nope. You can't read it. You have to learn it.
You have to.
But
Okay,
I
you have
don't
to
get
learn it.
I don't get it.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, DeAndre, and we'll be right back.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's youth on the go. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. There's storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Sugar City St. Kitts. Keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
Let's go, let's go, let's go! Welcome back, everybody, to our next edition of Vaughn Radio. My name is DeAndre Daniel with my co-host, Zanella Claxton.
I think DeAndre lives for this. Every now and then he wants to practice during the intro, and I feel that it's important to allow him to practice because that's how he will get it and be able to master it, right, DeAndre?
Yeah.
DeAndre is on his way to his own show really fast. I know he's aspiring for that. But thank you, DeAndre. And we are not at the bottom of the hour, but we have something very important that we have to do. And we were talking about the camps and back to school and what we're supposed to do. And we wanted to make sure that we did this very important thing before we continue talking about back to school.
And I don't mind. I don't think Lee would have mind if you did that very important thing before saying hi to her. But now we're gonna say hi. Hi, Lee. Happy Saturday. From all of us here at the Eastern Caribbean Spa House, we know that you are doing as well as can be expected, and of course, your positivity reigns supreme as usual. So, from all of us here at the Eastern Caribbean Spa House, please, we are, once again, just to let you know, we are keeping you in our thoughts and prayers, and we love you, and keep doing what you're doing, all right? From us, from me, from yours truly, from the Vaughn Radio staff, from Zanella, from DeAndre, from Auntie Vanny and her family, and from all of us here in Nevis. Have a wonderful day.
And that, Melissa, was the very important thing. So we just wanted to say good morning to Lee.
Oh, I thought you meant the camp was like the important thing that you had to get out the way for me to do the other important thing.
So we got the information out there, but the important thing, we wanted to make sure that we got a greeting out to Lee this morning. And Lee DeAndre can't wait to see you here in the studio. Yeah, he's like, mm-hmm.
Remember the last time I was there and he's sitting here going through all those papers.
Yes.
Like, he's going through so much and the papers go around him. Like, all these papers.
Yes, yes. Lee has a wealth of information. She always surrounds herself with information so that she can share with all of the members of our listening audience. So, DeAndre, we would have gone through two tips. Time management, the importance of time management. And it will be very important this term. Some students didn't do as well during the previous term or the previous 2 terms, this is the opportunity for you to ensure that you're focused. And so time management and scheduling, planning would make it much easier for you. We all know, we've heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. There's nothing that can be done and done effectively overnight. And so students, parents, it's important that they take it step by step by step. If they're studying, if they did an assignment in math today and they got it correct, I knew of a parent who would just go in and change 1 or 2 of the numbers and give back the same math problem, and we'll be able to correct it or check it off because the students are practicing the same problem, the same type of work. It's important to read. It's important to read extensively, to read a lot, because reading helps you to write well. And sometimes the other things in life consume you. You go outside and you play and you have fun and you forget. Or you pick up your technological device and you forget. But reading helps you to do well in all of your subject areas. So over the next term, please ensure that you're reading. Going into summer, reading and reading a lot. That will help you to be successful as well. Practice, practice, practice. Practice does not make perfect, because I'm not sure if we have any perfect beings here on earth, but practice makes us all better. And so we'll be able to do better and enhance or improve on our performance if we practice. So DeAndre, use your textbooks, use your notebooks, and practice activities, especially math problems or science experiments and the like. Practice, 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 and give it your best every single time. And then parents, ensure that they eat well. We spoke about the My Healthy Plate. And do you know that what you eat can have a negative or positive impact on your brain and your brain development? And so making sure that they eat balanced meals, that they're not too high in salt or too high in sugar. You're not feeding them Cheetos all day, every day, or candy all day, every day, but you are doing everything in moderation, that you're using the My Healthy Plate as your guide, and that they're getting some fruits and vegetables, taking up half the plate. Combined, fruits and vegetables should take up about half of your plate. And then the proteins and the carbohydrates should take up, combined, just about the next half, with some dairy in there. And so make sure you check that out and get balanced meals. If you eat balanced meals, especially at your age, it helps with your brain development. It helps you to do well. It helps you to focus more. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, causes the students to lose their focus and not be able to do as well and be as successful as they can. So encourage them to eat well, but also prepare meals, and you can prepare meals together to ensure that they're eating and eating well at that. Another bit of advice: have a good relationship or connection with your teachers. Parents, have conversations with the teachers. Students, have conversations with the teachers. Find out what you can do to improve on a score or grade that's low. Maybe find out if they can help to give you some additional assistance, because you're in this together. And there are times that the teacher might have overlooked that, oh my goodness, this child didn't pass this test. But going back and getting some support always helps, and helps a lot. And so that's something that you can think about as well, that when you've completed an assignment, that you ask your teacher for support or help if you didn't do as well as you thought that you could have done. Do you have any other tips that you want to share with the listeners, tips that have helped you in the last couple of months to do better in school?
I don't have any tips, but I would like to say to everybody that they need to try hard and try their best, because this is the last term and this puts you in the grade that you're going to go to high school. So I like to say try your best, try hard, and even if you say your teacher gives you something, it's like, oh, it's hard, you can't do it. Even if you don't know the answer, just try think of something to put there, because it's better than putting nothing. That's what my mom always tells me. She's like, if you see an answer, you don't know what it is, just try think hard, something that's similar to it, like just put it there, because like maybe you get a mark for like trying or putting something, or not getting a mark for nothing because just leaving the paper blank.
See? And so from one of your peers, from one of your colleagues, you're hearing, try, work hard, do your best, give of your best. And so make sure that you are doing all of that you're trying, that you're working hard, that you're giving of your best, that you're doing your best. Set small goals. That's one that we always remind them to do as well, DeAndre. So if this time you got a 90, make sure next time you're working towards a 95, next time you're working towards 100. If this time you got a 50, next time work towards a 55, then a 60, then a 65, and you work your way up instead of saying, oh, I failed, I didn't do so well, I'm not going to try. Set your goal and work towards it. You'll see it gets easier. It gets much easier when you actually know what you're about and what you want to accomplish. Any others? Nothing comes to mind. Do your projects and your homework on time? Yeah. Yes. Especially since we are moving more into project-based learning, it is important that you do your projects and your homework on time so that you can get the best grades and also that you can get the best learning experience. DeAndre would have shown all of us his project a few months ago in relation to apples and what products can make them stop browning.
Yeah.
And some of you will get other projects. He shared with us his apple cider experience, and he was doing the promo ad for apple cider. But there are projects out there. Please make sure that you complete them, on time. They are meant to help you to improve. And once again, you can't do well if you're not doing all the things that make it possible for you to do well. All right? So on behalf of us here, we want to wish everybody a very successful back to school on Tuesday, and a very successful, or Tuesday or the following Monday, as in DeAndre's case. And we want to wish everyone a successful term 3 as well. Remember those little tips that we gave, and we should be able to see and hear of the great results that we would see in the very, very, very near future. So we're listening out for the summer months when we hear about the Cape CSEC and CCSLC results. We're looking forward to the June, July months when we're hearing about the results on the test of standards, and of course the classroom exams as well. Continue to do well, continue to do your best, continue to be your best, and of course continue to succeed. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week. Until we join you next week, we look forward to being with you again.
It's time, come on, rise and shine.